Hey y'all, and welcome back to another new video. Today we are talking about the life of Newt Scamander and specifically what makes him a unique sort of hero. And I actually think there are a lot of life lessons that we can learn from Newt, so I'm really excited to talk about it. And the part about his life, it's sort of going to be like an overview. I'm not going to go into immense detail about everything that happens in the Fantastic Beasts series, specifically like the two movies. I do have a video series that I did a few months back on the entire like global wizarding war that can fill in a lot of those details if you like haven't seen the movies or need a refresher or whatever. So yeah, without further ado, we can just jump right into the video. So Newton Artemis Fido, aka Newt, was born on February 24th, 1897 in England, and he has an older brother named Theseus, and his mom breeded hippogriffs, which led to Newt having an interest in magical creatures from a very young age. And he starts Hogwarts in the year 1908 and is sorted into Hufflepuff. And he really enjoyed studying magical creatures there, and he was also sort of a bit of an outcast. But he does have one friend, Letta Lestrange, and she is also interested in magical creatures. She is also an outcast, so they both sort of connect over that. And yeah, so basically during their time at Hogwarts, they just become really good friends. And at one point, when they do a lesson on Bogarts that Dumbledore teaches, Newt's Bogart is an office desk because like his biggest fear is working a desk job. So I think that's very telling about the type of person Newt grows up to be. And yeah, over the next few years, he continues growing closer to Letta. He continues being interested in magical creatures. But in 1913, one of Letta's experiments went wrong. She basically had an illegal creature that almost killed another student. But Newt took the fall for her because he knew that she was going to get expelled. And I guess like he didn't care as much about himself getting expelled. Even though it did say that he did hold some resentment towards her afterwards, which like I think is kind of like, that was your decision, bud. But anyway, so he does get expelled, but I guess like maybe back then they didn't snap their wands because he got to keep his wand. And Albus Dumbledore, who I mentioned was a teacher at the time, did actually like vouch for him to not get expelled, but he was overruled. Okay, and so then only a few years after his expulsion, he somehow lands a job working at the Ministry during World War I. And he worked to wrangle Ukrainian iron bellies, which are a type of dragon, through a secret ministry mission. And I don't know if he was able to get this job because he just had such a great understanding of creatures that it didn't matter that he'd been expelled from Hogwarts. But yeah, whatever. So the program ended up being canceled because the dragons only responded to Newt and were like trying to eat the other people in the program. So Newt is very good with magical creatures. And after this, Newt worked in the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures. So he spent 2 years working in the office for house elf relocation, and then after that he moved into the Beast Division. And this is where he really hit his stride because of his, vast knowledge of magical creatures and just his like passion for it. His career as a magazoologist was able to take off, and he just was getting like promotion after promotion, just really moving up the ladder in that sense. And in 1918, he was commissioned by Augustus Worme of Obscurious Books to write Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Basically an anthology of all the or not all of, but many of the magical creatures in the wizarding world. And he loved this and was so excited for this opportunity because it paid well and it allowed him to spend his summers traveling the world doing what he loved. And so over the next few years, the next like 7 years, he traveled to over 100 countries across 5 different continents while writing his book. And he encountered and learned about many different magical creatures on his journey, and he even encountered an Obscurial at one point. So yeah, he just had a lot of adventures. So in 1926, he travels to New York, and this is kind of when like Fantastic Beasts starts. And this is supposed to be just a short stop because he's supposed to be releasing that endangered bird that he'd rescued. But obviously, like I said, I'm not going to do like all the details of those two movies. You can go see my video series in the past, or just watch the movies, or read the screenplay, or just look it up on the internet. But yeah, I have videos on it. But anyway, so like just sort of the main points is this is when he meets Jacob and Tina. Jacob being a Muggle or a No-Maj, as they call them in the United States. And there's honestly just a lot of chaos and antics with all the magical creatures during this part of the first movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which I personally really enjoy. I think the special effects are amazing. But eventually, Tina ends up capturing the Dark Wizard Grindelwald. And when Grindelwald was trying to capture the Obscurial Credence Barebone in the New York subway. And so Newt then had to create a rain that obliviated the memories of all of the Muggles in New York because they'd witnessed all of this. And this rain was supposed to get rid of all their bad memories. And it was also going to erase Jacob's memories, but as many of you guys know, his memory didn't end up being erased fully because it only made you forget bad things, which is so sweet. So Jacob is still able to remember the wizarding world. And so after this, Newt returns to London, And in 1927, his book is published and it becomes like an instant bestseller. He ends up doing like 60 more editions of it in his life. It becomes a Hogwarts textbook, and this made him a worldwide celebrity. And that same year, though, Grindelwald escapes from prison. And so in the second movie, Tina and Newt go on to look for Credence themselves, as well as to help the other Aurors fight and stop Grindelwald. So we'll have to wait and see sort of Newt's like middle age period. I mean, I imagine Newt's going to be in the next few Fantastic Beasts movies, so we don't know like all the details of his life yet, but we do know a bit about his older life. So basically he marries Tina, and they must have at least one kid together because we know that they at least have one grandchild, Rolf, because he marries Luna Lovegood. So yeah, we know they must have at least one child, and he has many accomplishments such as creating the werewolf register, which I don't know if that's an accomplishment. I mean, I guess like a lot of the werewolves were bad, but some of them were good. So the treatment of werewolves is kind of like problematic, but maybe not. I don't know, it just depends. But he created that in 1947, and he also, one of the biggest accomplishments of his career is creating the ban of experimental breeding in 1965, because this probably kept a lot of animals and people safe. He viewed people as the most vicious creatures of all. So yeah, experimental breeding could be very inhumane. And he also did extensive work with dragons, and he received Order of Merlin second class in the 70s, and he even has his own chocolate frog card. And he retired in the 90s, and during his retirement, so in 92, he released a children's book called A Children's Anthology of Monsters, as well as more editions of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So that's the summary of Newt's life, but then I want to talk about basically like the type of hero he is and how he's a little bit of a different hero and what I think we can learn from him, because I think he's like a really great character. So in a way, Newt is a combination of the Golden Trio because he's smart like Hermione, brave like Harry, and loyal and caring like Ron. And additionally, he's a true Hufflepuff because he's overwhelmingly kind. He cares for all beings, creatures, and humans alike, as we see in the series. And JKR describes him multiple times as an outsider. He can relate easier to animals than to people. And he's sort of a direct foil to Grindelwald because Newt believes in the power of Muggles, and this can be seen through his use of Jacob, not only as a friend, but as a sidekick. In the series, Jacob helps him like on their goals of stopping Grindelwald and getting Credence and all this stuff. And so I feel like that can be a very good example to all of us to basically accept diversity into our own lives, if that makes sense. There's a lot of talk of like racism and transphobia and other things in the world right now, and I think we can use Newt to serve as a role model of how accepting diversity into our own life, being around people that are different from us, can actually enrich our lives. So I love that for Newt. I also think there's a lot to learn in Newt's approach to Credence. Rather than attacking and just trying to like disarm the Obscurial, he speaks gently to him and trying to connect with his humanity. He uses logic and knowledge to solve problems rather than violence, and in this way I think he's a wonderful role model to all the young men, young boys that will be seeing these movies or have seen these movies, because he shows a different way to be masculine. He shows a way to confront problems and be a strong man without resorting to violence or aggression or physical brute strength. Obviously he uses physical strength when it's needed, but not violently. So I think he's a really great role model in that sense as well. And a line that Dumbledore says to him really sums up Newt's approach to heroism, and is something that I think we could all learn for and strive for when we're pursuing whatever it is that we care about. And it is the line Dumbledore says, "Do you know why I admire you, Newt? You do not seek power, you simply ask, is the thing right?" And I love that. So that is where I'm going to end this video. I hope you guys found it interesting. If you did, don't forget to give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already. And until next time, bye y'all.